Hello everyone. Some of you might be curious about the name I have for this YouTube channel. I wish to say right away that this name probably has more meaning to me personally than it being really a way to encompass what this channel is about. Having said that, this channel is run by me, so it is only natural that because this name has a personal connection to me, that the reason for this name will come out in the content for this channel in different ways, shapes, and forms. After all, I didn't pick this name for no reason, and in fact, one might think of it as a core component to my walk of faith in Christ. I am, of course, a Christian, and as such, I care about what ideas actually mean. But the link between being a Christian and caring about what ideas mean is another topic for another video. Getting back to the topic, before I really talk about how the name True Counterphobia ties into my faith, I should talk about what it means. I suppose it's self-explanatory enough if you simply break the core of the words down into concepts. Let's start with a trickier one, counterphobia. Well, it's basically two words connected that I think most people have heard of the word phobia before, but let me elaborate. Phobia is a clinical term for essentially meaning fear. There's a story here, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. A therapist or psychologist might diagnose someone with an irrational fear of something, fear of spiders, for example. All you need to know is that phobia is a clinical word for fear. Counter is simply a word to illustrate a combative response to an unfavorable event or action. Lastly, true should be easy enough to understand, as it basically means the opposite of a lie. So if you put that all together, what do you get? You get something said that is the opposite of a lie, that is a combative response to clinical fear. Now the backstory. I could probably talk about this for an hour easily, but I'll try to make it relatively short as it pertains to what this means, true counterphobia. Let's go back to my schooling in 7th grade. It goes back further than that, but I'll just do my best to brush in broad strokes. Anyways, in 7th grade, a quarter way through the year, I changed schools from a private Christian school to a public school. I would say I suffered a good degree of bullying at the private Christian school by the cool kids. I never really fit in. I would say in some sense that this was a catalyst for what would happen next when I transferred schools. The thought that plagued my mind was, I don't know anyone here and I don't fit in. No one will accept me. This caused a systemic fear of being utterly rejected and ridiculed by my peers. It was a phobia. More specifically, what I've been able to narrow it down to is what I would call persecutory identity disorder. This fear of man lasted well into my adult life. I did not have many friends, and the ones I did have I felt I couldn't trust. In 2007, 2 years after I graduated high school, I was hospitalized twice in a matter of months for mental health concerns. To be fair to myself, I was not actually in danger to myself or others, but I did suffer from a severe mental break and was basically catatonic with psychosis for at least 2 weeks. So that is what the phobia part of the name is for. Moving backwards to the counter part, this is simply a reflection on the time in middle school and high school when I did wrestling, and then after high school when I did martial arts, specifically judo. As an aside, all throughout my wrestling career, I never really had any serious injuries. That was until my last conference tournament match as a senior in high school. During the match, I was lifted into the air and landed square on my elbow, full force. I heard something snap. It was my tendon. I had never yelled out in pain in a wrestling match before, so between the time that I landed on my elbow and yelling in pain, I distinctly remember asking myself if I was in enough pain to yell. So you see, my yelling out in pain was a very rational response to stopping the match. So I went to my coaches and I let them know I was in a lot of pain, and then I did something very brave. I finished the match. The pain was so bad that I couldn't really actually do anything. I just kind of stood there like an idiot. But I was just basically a sitting duck and waiting to defend myself from getting attacked. But there was very little time left in the match, and I never had to defend myself. But yeah, it hurt a lot. So the counter in counterphobia goes back to my combat days. Lastly, why does the word true have significance to me? I'll spare you the details of this particular injury, except to say it was more emotional than physical. But it was emotional in part because it was physical. To blur out all the details, I was punished fairly severely for telling the truth. To my father, he didn't believe me, he didn't bother to check if I was telling the truth, so I was punished for lying. But the long and short of it is that I now have a pretty high value in telling the truth. The punishment didn't fit the crime, but I still learned an important lesson in it, and nonetheless, not to lie. Now, tying this all together, all these fears and pain and everything like that, there came a time when God really revealed himself to me. There came a point where I was asked by God or by someone, hey, you could be persecuted for your faith. Would it be worth it? And I said yes. And that started me on the journey that I'm still walking out today. And that's what the name True Counterphobia means to me. Thanks for watching, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.